When you were a kid, have you ever been treated like this? Because of the bad grades, you were laughed at by your classmates, scolded as a fool by the teacher. Seeing the words on the blackboard made you afraid and even hallucinations. The letters turned into horrible spiders. They climbed on the body. This is Ashan. Because of the bad grades, he had studied the grade of 3 twice. But he still couldn't do simple math problems. Spelling was always wrong, too. In class, he was always absent-minded. The teacher usually asked him to go out of the classroom.
Get out! Get out of my class! Out!
At home, Ashan was also the least progressive one. His brother ranked first in his class. When he was having a meal, he still read books. Ashan couldn't wake up early. After he woke up, he could have fun every time and everywhere. His father said he was a shameless child. His teacher and classmates also said that. But Ashan didn't seem to care. Because he had his own world, his imagination. This idiot in everyone's eyes has a great talent in catching and creating beauty. Once, when Ashan had a fight with a fat neighbor friend, the neighbor's family came to talk about it.
हर रोज तुम्हारी कंप्लेन, स्कूल से कंप्लेन, बिल्डिंग से कंप्लेन, घर के बाहर मांग रखो तो कंप्लेन.
His father also warned him. If there was the next time, he would send Ashan to the boarding school. There was only his mother who cared the wound on his head. Not long after, his parents were called to school again. Because Ashan scored 0 in all subjects. The teachers had a lot of opinions about him. The school president even said Ashan's IQ maybe had problem. They should send him to a special school. After they got home, the father crazily decided to send Ashan to the boarding school. Ashan cried.
Papa, please, Papa, मुझे मत भेजो, Papa.
But his father was not affected. Finally, Ashan came to the boarding school. The teacher promised, our school trains those kinds of children. The mother was crying and left Ashan standing there. The life in the new school made Ashan very uncomfortable. He cried in the bathroom. But after he cried, he wiped tears by himself. Although he was very sad, he still had to go to class. In the first class, Ashan was asked to sit under the teacher's eyes. In case he made trouble. But for the teacher's questions, his answer made the whole class laugh.
अरे क्या दिखता है नहीं दिखता है कर रहे हो?
So Ashan was even more lost. Then, there was an art class. He still didn't pay attention in the classroom. He couldn't stop looking out the window. But the teacher threw a piece of chalk to make Ashan come back to the class. Because he couldn't answer the teacher's question, he was hit. He came back to his seat and began to cry. The next one was the physical class. Ashan was pulled out of the queue. The last one was the English class. Ashan was bombarded by teachers the whole day. This time, his eyes were full of fear. His ears were full of scolding from the teachers. Under the pressure, Ashan broke down completely. He tore and threw away his books and his bag into the trash can. He began to hallucinate. The letters became scary spiders. They all were climbing into the classroom. It was obvious that Ashan was on the brink of danger. At weekend, his parents came to see him. He pushed the door and ran out. Ran around the playground to vent his emotions. Finally, Ashan got sick. Even when he slept next to his mother at night, he still scared. His favorite watercolor pens were put in the drawer. The little child often grasped on the railings alone. He made his desk mate scare and drop his crutch. What do you want to do? Come down. Until the new art teacher, Nakum, appeared. The students hadn't seen the new teacher in the art class. But they heard the flute first, and then, suddenly a man appeared. He dressed like a clown and played the flute. He could get close to the students very soon. Only Ashan kept silent. He had sealed his communication with the outside world. Nakum teacher gave every student a piece of paper, and asked students to draw what they want to draw. When everyone was drawing, only Ashan wasn't.
पेंटिंग करना अच्छा नहीं लगता?
Ashan remained silent. In the evening, his mother called him. She said she had to take his brother to the tennis final that week, so she couldn't come to see Ashan. Ashan didn't say anything. It was just torn in silence and he put down the phone, and left. This time he didn't even have the last hope. The next day, Nakum came out of the office, met Ashan kneeling at the door of the classroom. What's happened? Saw the child shrink in the door, Nakum quickly comforted Ashan. It's okay. The bell rang, Nakum found Ashan's table mate to ask. Then, he came back to office and found Ashan's homework. He looked at those red circles and thought. Not long after, Nakum went to Ashan's home. He had realized from Ashan's homework that because Ashan had word blindness in his study. But the father didn't believe it. It was just an excuse not to study. Nakum also looked at Ashan's previous paintings. He was particularly surprised by the folding book. This kid could not only draw but also had talent. Thought of Ashan in art class, Nakum was very sad.
हर बच्चे की अपनी खूबी होती है, अपनी काबिलियत होती है, अपनी चाहत होती है, लेकिन नहीं, हर उंगली को खींचकर लंबी करने में लगे हैं सब। लगे रहो, चाहे उंगली क्यों ना टूट जाए।
But in front of parents who still didn't believe, Nakum could only go back to school first. Then, Nakum decided to do it by himself, because of Ashan's interests and dreams. So he told a story in class, about a little boy. But Ashan was so frightened that he kept his head down. Listened to what teacher said, the situation and feeling of a word blindness person. Ashan's heart was pounding. But when students called out, the name of the man in the photo was Einstein. Ashan was really surprised. It turned out that Ashan had the same dilemma with him. Not only that, Nakum also talked to Ashan. He used to have word blindness. Facing the teacher, Ashan was no longer afraid. For the first time, he felt understood. Little Heart was no longer lonely. He was doing a new handcraft. A small boat. It was also Nakum and classmates' desired product. Then, Nakum talked to the school president. He wanted to be Ashan's tutor. He used a method that was suitable for people with word blindness. Taught Ashan how to read books. Ashan also tried his best and quickly improved. Now he could study happily, no longer absent-minded. That day, the father came to meet the teachers. He saw Ashan was studying hard. He realized that how bad his previous educational idea was. The eyes couldn't hold back tears. Besides learning, Nakum was also trying to find a method to make Ashan have an interest in drawing. He and Ashan drew together. There was a painting competition. On the day of the competition, the students, school president, and teachers all came. Saw the picture of teacher on the tree, everyone was happy. However, the competition began. Ashan had not come. Nakum worried. When Ashan came, Nakum quickly brought him paper and pen. Have a seat, here. The competition went well, even for all the adults. Everyone had a chance to calm down and relax. Finally, the school president announced the first place.
और इनको चित करने वाला शिष्य है नन्हा मुन्ना 9 साल का ईशान नंद किशोर अवस्थी of 30.
Heard his name, Ashan couldn't believe it. It took a long time for him to believe it was true and went to the main stage. Took the certificate from the school president. Then, he cried and ran into Nikum. At the end of the semester, his parents came to school. The president happily met them.
ये आपका ईशान और ये उसकी पेंटिंग. Just look at it, what a masterpiece.
And the results of all subjects also had a great improvement. All the efforts were not in vain. A child whose heart had been closed because of the teacher's help had a new start to interact with the world. Now, he got back the happiness he used to have. Looked at Ashan, his father cried. Sometimes, between genius and idiot, only a good teacher can separate. Hope the parents and teachers can be able to have more patience and understanding for every child. Never look down on any child and think that he is not intelligent. Make them have an opportunity to walk on their own road. Then, they will shine. When you were a kid, have you ever been treated like this? Because of the bad grades, you were laughed at by your classmates, scolded as a fool by the teacher. Seeing the words on the blackboard made you afraid.